Have you ever made heartfelt du'as, prayed with tears in sujud, and waited with hope, only to find life becoming more difficult instead of easier? You're not alone. Many believers experience this confusing phase where it feels like nothing is moving, everything is falling apart, and silence is the only response to their deepest prayers. But what if this silence isn't a rejection? What if it's a divine preparation? Allah doesn't delay without purpose. Sometimes, before He blesses you with what you've been begging for, He places you in a test to strengthen your faith, purify your heart, and align you with the blessing you're destined for. These tests are not punishments. They're signs that your dua has been heard and your miracle is on its way. In this video, we'll uncover 6 powerful signs that Allah is testing you just before He gives you what your heart has been longing for. 1. Increased difficulties. And one of the clearest signs that Allah is testing you before granting your heartfelt dua is a sudden increase in life's challenges. You may feel like everything was going smoothly until you started praying deeply for something. Suddenly, things begin to fall apart, financially, emotionally, or in relationships. This can feel confusing and even discouraging. However, these hardships are not meant to break you. They are often a way for Allah to strengthen your soul, cleanse your heart, and prepare you for a greater blessing. Just like gold is purified through intense heat, a believer is purified through trials. These challenges can also expose your hidden strengths and push you to rely on Allah alone, stripping away your dependence on worldly means. Sometimes, before giving you what you asked for, Allah ensures you are spiritually and emotionally ready to receive it. The difficulty isn't a punishment. It's a process. It's a divine sign that what you've asked for is near, but your current state might not yet be suitable for it. So when life gets tougher after your dua, don't despair. It could be a divine preparation, not a denial, but a delay filled with purpose and mercy. 2. Closed doors. Another powerful sign that Allah is testing you before blessing you is when doors begin to close unexpectedly. You may find that opportunities you were excited about suddenly disappear. A job offer falls through, a relationship ends, or a project you worked hard on fails without explanation. In those moments, it feels like rejection, but in reality, it could be redirection. Allah, in His infinite wisdom, sometimes removes what we think is good for us because He knows something better is ahead. When you're deeply praying for something, Allah may begin to shift your path, closing off roads that lead to temporary satisfaction in order to guide you toward long-term blessings. The closed doors might be a way to protect your heart, increase your reliance on Him, or steer you away from hidden harm. Often we become attached to our plans, assuming we know what's best, but Allah knows what we don't. When He shuts a door, it's never without a reason. These moments teach humility, trust, and patience. If your sincere efforts are met with barriers, understand it as part of a divine test, not to hurt you, but to align you with a greater answer to your prayers. 3. Spiritual disconnection. A surprising sign of being tested by Allah is the feeling of spiritual disconnection. When your heart feels distant from worship, your du'as feel empty, and your acts of ibadah no longer bring the same peace. This can be deeply unsettling, especially when you're actively praying and seeking closeness to Allah. It may even feel like your efforts are not being accepted. But this phase is part of the test. Allah may allow you to experience this spiritual dryness not as a punishment, but to see whether you will still turn to Him when your heart feels empty. True sincerity is shown not only when we feel spiritually strong, but when we continue worshipping even in our lowest, driest moments. This disconnection can also awaken a deeper yearning within you. It forces you to reflect, to seek Allah more intentionally, and to renew your sincerity. It humbles you and strips away spiritual pride, making you realize how dependent you are on His mercy for even the ability to feel close to Him. So, if you feel distant from Allah despite your constant du'as, don't give up. Keep going. Your perseverance in worship during this time may be the key to unlocking the very blessing you've been praying for. 4. Isolation from people. When Allah is preparing you for something greater, one of the signs you may experience is isolation, the unexpected withdrawal of people from your life. Friends may grow distant, loved ones may misunderstand you, or you might find yourself spending more time alone without intending to. This can be emotionally painful and confusing, especially when you're already going through personal struggles or waiting on your du'as to be answered. However, this isolation isn't always a loss. It can be a form of divine protection and preparation. Sometimes, the presence of certain people in your life can become a distraction or barrier to your spiritual growth. Their absence creates space for reflection, healing, and a deeper connection with Allah. It gives you time to focus inwardly, to rebuild your identity not based on relationships, but on your relationship with your Creator. Moreover, isolation often precedes transformation. Many prophets and righteous people were isolated before receiving revelation or guidance. So if people are being removed from your life, don't see it as abandonment. It may be Allah clearing your surroundings to prepare you for something bigger and better. What feels like loneliness may actually be Allah drawing you closer to Him for your own growth and elevation. 5. Prolonged delays. One of the most challenging tests from Allah is a prolonged delay in the fulfillment of your prayers. You may find yourself constantly making dua with sincerity, yet days turn into months, and months into years, with no visible answer. This waiting period can create feelings of doubt, frustration, and confusion. You may wonder if your prayers are even being heard. But these delays are never without purpose. In Islam, we're taught that Allah responds to every dua, either by giving us what we asked for, replacing it with something better, or saving us from a harm we never saw coming. A delay, therefore, could mean that the timing isn't right, that you are not ready yet, or that the blessing itself is still being prepared in a way that's best for you. Delays also train your soul in patience, trust, and surrender. They expose whether you are seeking Allah only for the gift, or if you trust His wisdom above your desires. This phase builds a stronger relationship between you and your Creator, one based on faith rather than instant gratification. So when things take longer than expected, remind yourself, Allah's delay is not His denial. It's a sign that the best is still on its way. 6. Inner growth and stronger faith. A powerful and often overlooked sign that Allah is testing you before granting your prayer is the inner growth you begin to notice within yourself. While the external situation may not have changed, your dua still seems unanswered, and the struggles continue. Something deep within you starts to shift. You find yourself becoming more patient, more reflective, and more connected to your purpose. Instead of turning away, you begin turning to Allah with more sincerity. Your faith becomes stronger, not because everything is perfect, but because you're learning to trust Allah regardless of your circumstances. This kind of spiritual maturity doesn't happen overnight. It is often forged in the heat of trials. Tests refine your character, deepen your humility, and teach you to rely on Allah alone. You become more grateful for small blessings, more mindful in your worship, and more resilient in your journey. These subtle yet powerful changes are signs that Allah is preparing you internally for the blessing you've been asking for. The strength of your iman during difficult times is one of the clearest indicators that something beautiful is coming. Your growth is the proof that even before the external change, Allah is already blessing you within. Tests from Allah often come right before the breakthrough you've been praying for. So if you're facing hardships, delays, or moments of silence, don't lose hope. These signs may be proof that Allah is preparing you for something far greater than you imagined. Trust His timing, stay patient, and keep your heart connected to Him. If this video brought you comfort or clarity, don't forget to like, share it with someone who needs this reminder, and subscribe to Ascend Deen for more spiritually uplifting content. May Allah ease your tests and grant you what you've been praying for.